Hello, my name is David Grant, and in this presentation I will be exploring the theory of behaviourism and its relevance to education. I will be looking into the major ideas and supporting theories such as operant conditioning, as well as examining the strengths and limitations of the behaviourist theory. To further support this theory, I will shed light on my own personal beliefs in regards to how effective it is within a classroom. Finally, I will add some examples from my own education to give more insight on how the behaviourist approach can be used inside a classroom. What is behaviourism? John is often called the father of behaviourism, as he stated that all behaviours that a person will develop through conditioning. Watson also said that if he was to be given any random child, he could train said child to become any kind of specialist, be it a doctor, farmer, or lawyer, regardless of the child's race or ancestors. So behaviourism, by definition, is a learning theory that only focuses on objectively observable behaviours and discounts any independent activities of the mind. Behaviour theorists define learning as nothing more than the acquisitions of new behaviour based on environmental conditions. What this means is that a student will learn new material through the behaviours and emotions, incorporating the ideas of operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is often associated with behaviourism as a learning type where an organism learns through the consequences of their behaviour. This is affected by both negative and positive responses, where a positive response can help to strengthen the behaviour, and a negative reaction can help to weaken a behaviour. B.F. Skinner is most noted for this, as he showed everyone how effective positive reinforcement could be for teaching by placing a rat in a box with a lever that dispensed food. After a while, and a few accidental attempts, the rat realised that by pulling the lever, it would be given food, showing that it would learn to do an action due to its behaviours. With the use of reinforcements and punishments, a teacher can mould a student's behaviour within the classroom. Some examples of operant conditioning within a classroom include: if a student is to complete all work within a class, and the teacher was to reward them with a lolly, the student will be more likely to complete all work next class, as they will wish to be rewarded again. However, if a student was not being productive in class and was distracting other students, the teacher could punish the student by giving them a detention. Because of this, the student will be less likely to be unproductive in the next class, as they will not want to be punished again. The strengths of the behaviourist theory are that behaviourism is based on observable behaviours, so it is easier to quantify and collect data and information when conducting research. Also, effective therapeutic techniques such as intensive behavioural intervention, behaviour analysis, token economies, and discrete trial training are all rooted in behaviourism. These approaches are often very useful in changing maladaptive or harmful behaviours in both children and adults. However, the limitations of the behaviourist theory are that it doesn't account for the internal influences going on within a person, such as emotions, thoughts, or free will, and can be considered to be a one-dimensional concept. It also doesn't explain how any other type of learning that occurs without the use of punishment and rewards. In regards to my own experience and personal beliefs, behaviours and emotions have by far played the largest part of my education, and I believe that teachers should be able to adapt their teaching style so that they can appeal to the emotions of their students, so that in turn they can modify the students' behaviour. I also believe that the use of negative and positive reinforcement had the greatest influence on my behaviour in classes, especially in early education. However, as I got to later education, punishment was a far more effective means to modifying behaviour. Here is an example of positive reinforcement from my own experience. When I was in Year 9, I rarely studied for my tests, and my mother would nag me. I eventually studied for a test, and I achieved a high mark on the test. My mother was very proud of me, and I felt good about myself. Through the use of positive reinforcement, I successfully modified my behaviour to study for more upcoming tests. Here is an example of negative reinforcement from my own experience. In early secondary education, I used to talk with my friends in class instead of working. The teacher would then notice that I was not doing work and instead talking in class. so they would get me to move my desk to the front of the room. I did not like having to move to the front of the room. However, and after a few times being sent to the front of the classroom, I eventually stopped talking within the classroom. Therefore, the use of negative reinforcement was successful in modifying my behaviour within the classroom. In conclusion, behaviourism is one of the most common teaching methods today. It is based upon learning due to our behaviours, and it is influenced heavily by the ideas of operant conditioning with positive and negative reinforcement. However, it can be considered a one-dimensional approach, as it doesn't account for free will and emotions, but it is also a very highly effective method of teaching.